Just make sure we got the right combinations, really, and the right people on the track. Get the bench right. The bench is always a really important part for us, so it's about selecting the 23 that are right for this particular game. But by and large, a lot of the guys pick themselves. Right?
Steve, how did Joe Moody force his way into the 23?
Well, he's a specialist loose head, and with the bench the way it is, you've got a specialist tight head and a specialist loose head, and we just feel that if you could pick 6 props, he probably would have made the trip as a specialist loose head ahead of Ben, who would have come as the tight head. So Ben's here because he can play both sides, and it's a massive advantage when you only pick 5. And once he was here and we had the opportunity, because through Woody's misfortune, it was just obvious to pick him.
Is he settled in well?
Yeah, no, he's been great.
TKV over TJ Perenara. Can you explain that call for you?
Yeah, we just think he's just, in the games that he has played for us versus the games TJ's played, he's just been a little bit better, a little bit more composed. His defence is very, very good, and coming on late in the game, he's really both of them are good, energetic players, but we just think his composure has just been a little bit better. But TJ will get more opportunities, I'm sure, good player.
Steve, the players have appeared excited all week. What's the feeling like with a day or two to go before what is a massive game?
Oh, everyone's really excited. I mean, you just got to come here. All of a sudden, we've got a few extra people here, and so the atmosphere is growing, and it's a time in the tournament where the big boys got to stand up, don't they, when you go home. So we're looking forward to that challenge, and I'm sure France are too.
Where does this game sit for you in your coaching career?
On the next one.
What do you make of Nicky Scudder's ability to step up and be one of the big boys, getting it so early in his career?
Well, he's followed a trend of New Zealand wingers, All Black wingers. A lot over the last few years have arrived on the scene and scored a lot of tries, and through that we think that they're playing really well because they're scoring lots of tries. But there's other parts of the game he's still got to grow, just like the rest of them when they first started. And he showed a lot of composure, mental fortitude, and he's enthusiastic, which is good to have. You need people in your team that are enthusiastic, and he's like that. He'll work his butt off on Saturday, and we're going to need 23 people to do that.
In some ways, he hasn't really followed the trend of worldwide wingers, though, in terms of his size. He's not kind of the big, massive Nandolos and stuff that are coming through.
Well spotted. He's not a big man. But isn't it wonderful for rugby that all shapes and sizes can play the game, and he's just reinforcing that. You don't have to be a big 105, 110 kg winger as in North or Jules or people like that. He's a little guy, but he's great on his feet. He can turn on a sixpence, and he's got genuine gas. So that's good.
Steve, you say it's for you the next game. As the coach, when you've got so much excitement around you, for the players, do you have to try and temper your own, or are you actually allowed to get a little bit fired up about this sort of situation yourself as well? Do you have to put a lid on your own emotions?
You just got to keep a lid on everybody's. So there's no point in me getting overexcited and not doing my job right. It's about building for the week. When we need to get really excited and have fun is on the Saturday. Saturday's the fun part of the week, as I've said many times before, and Sunday to Friday's the work days. And mentally, you don't want to be wound up like a clock Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday on your day off. You want to be just building quietly and getting the clarity and the understanding of how you want to play, and start to build intensity in late in the week, and that's what we've tried to do.
Have you had a look at the French team, and so what have you made of it?
The team that's been selected? Yeah, no, I've seen that, and I see they've made 3 changes, so they're obviously picking their team on form and what they think will do the most damage against us, so you've got to respect it.
What does it mean, Steve, for you, that are on the bench or with the team? What does it change for you?
Well, they're 2 different players. Like Bessero's a big man, isn't he? 125 kgs. Many centres that big, not even I was. So might have been Might have been a couple of weeks ago, but you know, like his style is what he brings. He's very confrontational and he carries the ball up, he gives them go forward. So they're obviously going to look to do something subtly different with the new guy, and you know, he's a very good player in his own right. So as I said, we'll respect what they've selected and get into it.
Steve, can you describe what France versus All Blacks means as a team this period of the year, and thinking about all the Rugby World Cups matches that have been in the past?
Yeah, like the first thing is when we think about it, we don't ever limit it to just the Rugby World Cup. There's been a great relationship between the two countries for a long, long time, and apart from the Rainbow Warrior, you know, we've probably been on the same page most of the time. So, but you know, from a rugby sense point of view, you know, we've got similar athletes. I think France has always had great athletes. You know, their game is built around flair and the backs and real physicality up front. I'm not sure it's the same flair that they've got now. What with the Super 14, or I'm not sure what to call your competition, Super 14? Yeah, I mean that's become quite a dour competition with a lot of physicality, and I know that they're trying to recapture that flair which is there. You can see it, and when they let it loose, it's definitely there. So we'll be expecting them to come out and play with flair and physicality on Saturday. But as I said, the relationship's been great, and there's always been some days when you just wonder who's turned up, but most of the time they turn up, and when it's a big occasion they always turn up, and we have to turn up with them. So really looking forward to it. Our guys love a challenge, and we know that there's not many bigger challenges than playing France.
Steve, were all 31 of the squad available for selection? No injuries?
No injuries, no. None.
Steve, could I ask you about Dusatois, just briefly? You could say that in 07 and again in the final 4 years ago he turned in performances which were as nearly great in his style as you could imagine.
Yeah.
Do you think he still has that in him?
No, definitely. He's one of the great players of all time. If there wasn't a certain Richie McCaw running around during that same period, this would probably be seen as the guy who's played the best rugby in that position over a long period of time. He's calculated, he's cool under pressure, he's a smart rugby brain on him, and he's a good man. He's a good character, plays the game with the right spirit, and he's a great ambassador, I think, for French rugby.
Steve, you just said flair. You can see the flair is still there. In the 23, which player for you is the incarnation of the flair?
I think your inside centre is probably one of the flary guys. He's pretty good. You wouldn't want to give him too much room. He's skinny and as quick as look at. But the ball guys, they've got the ability to catch and pass and run with the ball and turn something, nothing into something. And that's they're very instinctive rugby players, and when they've got their backs to the wall, that's when they really let it loose, and thankfully they haven't got their backs to the wall.
What's your explanation that the flair disappeared like that?
I'm not sure. You have to ask the coaches. Usually the coach has something to do with it.
Steve, you've gone with two loose forwards on the bench. Was there, against the team as physical as France, was there any temptation to have a lock there, have a Romano there?
There was, but we think that either Rito or JK, if they have to go in there, they'll be just as physical. So what they do give us is a little bit more mobility and a little bit more flexibility on the bench to look after more than one position.
Steve, you've got more older players than most of the team at this stage. Does that become a greater risk the longer the tournament goes on, or do the likes of Conrad Smith, Dan Carter, not worry about their age?
I'm not sure what being older, how that creates a risk. You mean by getting injured or something?
Physicality, yeah.
I don't think just because you get old you don't get injured. You get injured because you get caught in a tackle or caught in a ruck the thing your old players bring you, if they're in form, and our guys are in form, is experience. And you can't buy that. You know, when you're under the pump, you need people in that group that can cope with it. And Conrad Smith, great rugby brain. Fishy McCaw, great rugby brain. They've been in places that some of the younger guys haven't been. So when it gets a little iffy, which it does in every game, some games a little longer than others, then those guys are hugely important. So I'll never be one to worry about how old they are, as long as their form is good, then you got to pick them.
Steve, how close was Waisaki to being picked? Is his max fitness 100% now? You're sort of completely comfortable where he's at?
He's pretty good, yeah, but like, it's a big ask to come back and do what he's done. He's played 2 games. We've got him, you know, a week off's probably the right thing for him at this stage. And we've got 2 guys in really good form, and Jules and Nehi both scoring tries. So, you know, it was tough, but we've selected the right guy.
Steve, a couple more questions. Thanks, Jim.
Just arrived, Jimmy?
Just arrived, mate.
Pleasure to see you.
The feeling at home is that there's a little bit of a concern about some of the guys in the team in their form. You just talked about Jules and he's found a couple of tries. Jerome's talked about his own form, Kieran, and I guess Aaron Smith is the other one being talked about at home. How concerned or how much, you know, what's your comment on the way they're playing and what they need to do on the weekend?
Well, firstly, I can understand why there's a bit of concern at home, because they're at home and they're not here. So they don't know everything that we've been doing, and you know, they'll be a little bit apprehensive about a few things, I guess, because they don't have any control over it. When you don't have control over something, you know, your tendency as a human being is to worry. Worry is a wasted emotion. You know, if you're worrying about something that hasn't happened, plan for it and have a plan if it does. If it's already happened, well, you better have a plan how you're going to fix it. So, yeah, if you look at Kieran Reid, he was our best defender last week. You know, he dropped a couple of high balls, which is uncharacteristic of him, but you know, his overall game was superb. Stole a couple of line-outs. Did most things really, really well. You know, Jerome is his own worst enemy when it comes to being his own harshest cricket. So he'll never be happy how he plays. So he could have a stormer and he'll still come in and tell you about things he did wrong. Which is, in some ways, is a good thing, but in other ways it can be a bad. But, you know, I'm extremely happy where we're at. Our attitude has been one of excitement and looking forward to this game. We know what's on the line, as everyone else does. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, do you? But that's the sort of things that excite this game. And without being disrespectful in the 4 rounds, like, it's not the same edge. It's not the same edge when you're playing in Namibia. You know you're going to win that. So you've got to create it some other way, and we try to do that through our training. And this week you don't have to create anything, it's there. You get your knife and fork out and eat it if you want it. It's great.
Steve?
Last question, thank you.
How important is the part of the emotion of the last campaign for Richie, for Dan, and is it a key to control for the last 3 games, fully for you?
Well, we don't know we've got 3 games, so we don't have to control it. All we know is we've got this one. And the men that they are, they're not even thinking about themselves, they're thinking about the team. And that's one of the reasons why the All Blacks have been able to do the things they've done over a long period of time. People that are playing it think about the team first. So when the time comes that those guys have officially played their last game, because there's no more for them to play, we'll deal with it. But in the meantime, you know, they're preparing to play what is a very, very important test match, and one that they want to play well in. So you can't allow yourself to be drifting off thinking about stuff that's irrelevant. You've got to be thinking about what's the job I've got to do, and when do I have to do it, and how do I want to do it, that sort of stuff. So you've got to prepare yourself for that. So it hasn't even been mentioned, and you know, it won't be mentioned.
Thanks, everyone. Stick around, we've got the players coming up shortly. Everyone ready to go? Yes, Jim? We've got Dan Coles, Aaron Smith, White Pocket. Thanks, everyone. When you're ready.
Dan, a part of the cliche about they're being passionate or physical, like the Argentinian or the Springbok. What's so special scrummaging versus the French?
Oh, mate, it's probably the same, sorry, but like, they're very, obviously they base themselves on going to Scrum, and the Scrum's been going really well during the tournament, so for us it's a massive challenge, but one we're really looking forward to, and I think they're one of the best Scrums in the world that we've been working hard during the week to find out, to match that, because we need to step our Scrum up, because players have been up to scratch during the tournament, so a huge challenge, but one we're really looking forward to.
You need to lower up. How far are you from your full potential in scrummaging?
Yeah, it's a tough question, but I think we need to, definitely raise our game in our scrummaging wise. I don't know, I can't really put a number on it, but it needs to really step up against, a pretty, dominant French side, which is good scrum now. So, like I said before, massive challenge, but one we're really looking forward to.
Where does this game sit for you?
Yeah, it's massive. Probably the biggest game of my life. It is the biggest game of my life. World Cup Quarter-Final. It's where we want to be. It's really exciting to be a part of it.
Have you had to temper your emotions in the earlier part of the week?
I wouldn't say temper them. I think there's a week to build up for it, so obviously we know we can't play the game yet. We've just got to make sure that we get our prep right, so that's what we've been doing. I think it's a good thing to have that excitement, to have that energy during the week, and we've been training well, so it's good.
You've been through quite a lot in your career. Is this reward, do you think, for some perseverance through the years?
Not too sure. I just know that it's a really good French side that we're coming up against, and
Helen, you were part of it.
You're a big boy. What's so special scrummaging versus a shorty guy like Slimani, according to you?
Yeah, obviously, French front row are a very good scrum, and we've just got to make sure that technically we're right on the money. And I personally, to deal with that, I've had to deal with that on my whole career, so nothing changes there.
Aaron, you were part of a successful Super Rugby campaign. Is there any tangibles from what the Highlanders went through with their run to the final that you can use, that you're trying to draw on to get you through what this week and maybe hopefully a few weeks afterwards?
I guess it is good, but I think it's a different feeling as well. I've had a lot of big games for the All Blacks, and this just feels like it's exactly where we want to be, and this is where I want to be right now, and it's a really good feeling. I guess if anything, it's just from the Super Rugby I learned, was just to tone down a bit during the week and just slowly build. I think you don't want to play the game before Saturday. You don't want to play the game today in my head, so that's all I'd sort of be focusing on. As I said, this is exactly where we want to be, and can't wait.
Did you feel as though you're getting better with that, Aaron? Because you did admit sort of early on that you were the sort of guy that, you're quite an energetic, bubbly sort of a person. Do you feel you've improved with keeping the lid on those sort of things?
Yeah, I think it was definitely something I needed to do, and it's helped a lot, and I put a lot of work into that with Bert, and just about monitoring the week and how to measure it, so that I knew it wasn't too low and wasn't too high. So it feels good, and the plan's working so far, so yeah, let's do it.
Aaron, has your family arrived yet? Have you caught up with them and that sort of thing?
Yeah, they've arrived, so we had a day off yesterday, so we put up for the wee man and parents and my missus, so it was good.
Can you sort of talk about it? It's been a while, I guess, since you've seen your son?
Yeah, it has been a while since I've seen my son, and yeah, I was just real happy, to be honest. It's different being on tour now. It used to be sweet as. Worry about the missus, but now think about my kid. So it's just feels a bit strict out of that as well. Just seeing your boy grow up and just muck around, park with him was pretty cool.
Can you imagine where you are now? As a young fellow growing up in north of Wellington, did you ever sort of picture yourself in this environment leading into the World Cup Quarter-Final?
Nah, mate. To be honest, I probably didn't like. Playing one test for the All Blacks was always a dream of mine. I did that. I never thought I'd be here, quarter-final week, getting ready to play the French. So, I like to think I've come a long way from when I first started my career, and it's just, like Nuggie says, it's just an awesome occasion to be a part of, and one I'm really looking forward to.
Aaron, can you talk a bit about the rise of Nehi Milner-Skudder from the Turbos to now?
Yeah, I think we've all seen it. It's been a pretty hectic year for the fella, and really excited for him. And, for seeing him come back from league in Sydney to talking to him, and I think a few players that he grew up with, like Johnny Leota and that was in the Turbos, and he's saying he should come back to rugby, and it's just I'm just really happy for him. The way he plays, I think everyone gets pretty excited. I know I sure do, and some things he does is just wow. So you don't, rugby's all about defence and that these days, and plans to stopping things, but you can't negate everything. And so just really good to be able to. Lucky we're in the same team with him.
Did you always see that potential in him?
Everyone did. I think early on in his, especially his Manawatu career, he was very injury prone. So he had a lot of bangs. He was sort of just doing captain's run and then just getting through games. So he's still a bit like that, but he looks like he's ready to go when he hits the field, which is all that really matters now as he's getting a bit older, which is good.
What does just talk about what this means for you today? You've obviously had some setbacks, and we all know about them. But you're now the #1 loose head prop of the All Blacks ahead of a World Cup Quarter-Final. So can you just sort of describe how you're feeling at the moment?
Just ready to go. I've been in this team for a few years now, and had quite a few opportunities to play a big test, but obviously this one's a really big one, and I just feel like we're ready to go. Looking forward to the game, and that's exciting time.
Do you think you're a testament to perseverance?
I'm not too sure. I guess I just part of a very good team, and I love doing what I'm doing. Love being part of this team, and wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm very happy to be part of it.
Aaron, what does France remind you or suggest you?
That's a tough one, mate. Just looking through the footage all week, it's exactly, I don't know how to explain it. The way that French play with huge passion and huge flair, and they're able to do a bit of everything, which is always really dangerous and hard to plan for. So, I don't know how else to answer that, sorry, my friend.
Have you spotted similarities or differences between this team and the one you matched up against in the final in 2011? In the way to play players and everything?
Oh, well, I was at a beach in 2011, so I was watching and it looked like a good game and tough game, but I can't really comment on past teams, especially in 2011, but every French team I've come up against has been very tough, and it's no different this weekend, and it's such an awesome occasion, so it's right where we want to be, and we're excited about the challenge.
Aaron, the French just changed the scrum half. Do you expect a kind of psychological warfare versus Morgan Parra?
Morgan's been. I watched him grow up. I saw him playing NZ20s when I was here in Wales actually, and he was the superstar then. He played for the French team before he played for the 20s team, and I remember watching him and thinking, geez, this guy's pretty good. So I'm really excited to match up against Morgan, and when they came out to New Zealand, he didn't come on that tour. I think he was injured, and I was a bit gutted about that, but to be able to match up against him on such a big game, and I remember thinking even back then I'd love to play that guy and sort of mark myself against him, and that's something that really excites me about this weekend and the match up.
Okay, just talk about Nigel Owens being the ref. What makes him such a good ref, and are you happy that he's the weekend?
Yeah, refs, sometimes they're not a big fan of mine, but I've been pretty vocal about my opinions, so I'll try to change that up this week. But I always enjoy Nigel Owens as refereeing because he talks a lot as a ref. He communicates well. He controls games really well. That's all I can really say about that.
Thanks everyone. Stick around. The last few guys are on their way.